Mr. al-Sayed has campaigned alongside Hassan Piker, a radical left-wing Islamist who has said, among other things, America deserved 9/11. Mr. al-Sayed was very proud to stand next to Hassan Piker.
Ted Cruz brought up a Democrat Senate candidate here. Then he read the 9/11 quote from the man he campaigned beside here, Hassan Piker. Okay? And then every single witness said it was shameful.
Agent Burns, CARE and other Muslim Brotherhood-affiliated groups have long referred to the convicted Holyland Foundation defendants as political prisoners, implying that they were imprisoned for their beliefs. Based on the trial record you helped build, is that an accurate description?
It is completely inaccurate. Labeling prisoners as political prisoners does, as you say, it implies that there was no due process, that people are imprisoned because of their beliefs or merely because of their speech. And in this instance, the Holyland Foundation and 5 of its officers were tried by a jury of 12 jurors who were hand-selected by the prosecution and the defense, the jurors who found, beyond a reasonable doubt, that these individuals and the organization committed the crime of providing material support to terrorism under 18 U.S.C. 2339B. And then the defense appealed that judgment on many grounds to the Fifth Circuit, and the Fifth Circuit examined all of those issues and wrote a lengthy, almost 100-page opinion addressing those issues and affirming the convictions. And then the defendants applied for certiorari with the Supreme Court, who denied it. Therefore, they received exactly what our Constitution provides, due process, and expended all of their efforts challenging that. So I would say that that is an absolute mischaracterization of those individuals in that entity.
And isn't it true that those men were convicted by a jury on all counts after weeks of testimony, wiretaps, financial records establishing that they knowingly funneled money to a designated terrorist organization?
Yes.
Mr. Scheidler, how important is the Brotherhood network operating inside the United States to the Brotherhood's global agenda?
Very. I would say it's probably central to their efforts. Right. While they have influence in other countries that is perhaps more significant, the importance of influencing the United States is preeminent.
Let's turn to the American Muslims for Palestine. Ms. Claypock, there are serious allegations that AMP is effectively the alter ego of the Islamic Association for Palestine, the original Hamas propaganda front in the United States. Is there evidentiary support for that?
Yes, there is. That case is currently in litigation and scheduled to go to trial in February of next year. The district court judge in that case ruled against AMP, in multiple motions to dismiss, claiming that there was insufficient evidence of alter ego status.
Mr. Scheidler, are there individuals who move directly from IAP, UA, SR, or HLF into leadership roles at AMP?
Yes, there are. As you named some of them, Osama Abu Arshad, who was not just at IAP, but he was also at the United Association for Studies and Research, which was really the Hamas think tank of its time. It was created by Hamas foreign affairs leader Abu Marzouk and led by Ahmed Youssef, who was the sort of the Hamas political consultant.
And isn't it true that AMP's current executive director, Osama Abu Arshad, previously worked for both IAP and the United Association for Studies and Research, which were 2 of the original Hamas-linked organizations in America?
Yes, that's correct.
And in April 2024, Mr. Abu Arshad stood on George Washington University's campus at a student protest and said in substance that the movement would take back these colleges like it will take back America, like it will take back Palestine. Mr. Scheidler, does rhetoric like that also inform how we should understand Hamas's own intent for the network it built here in America?
Yes, it does.
And guys, and there's been a good amount of people, specifically on a lot of these campuses here, that have absolutely been completely bombarded and inundated with the overall rhetoric coming from Hamas, guys. They have believed it hook, line, and sinker, guys, fully.
We were talking about Abdul al-Sayed, now the Democrat nominee for U.S. Senate in the state of Michigan. Among other things, Mr. al-Sayed has campaigned alongside Hassan Piker, a radical left-wing Islamist who has said, among other things, America deserved 9/11. Mr. al-Sayed was very proud to stand next to Hassan Piker. I want to ask each of the three witnesses, do you believe America deserved 9/11?
No, sir. It
He
did
has
not.
a platform still?
Al-Qaeda committed the acts that we saw on 9/11. Al-Qaeda hijacked commercial airliners and flew them into the World Trade Center and into the Pentagon and attempted to fly another plane and kill more civilians. They killed 3,000 civilians. And for anyone to claim that any one of those civilians or individuals who died in that atrocious terrorist attack deserved it is shameful.
Ms. Claypock?
Guys, there are people who have said less and done less, who have been completely deplatformed across all of the infrastructure of social media. Understand this here, okay? Now, for Hassan Piker, what is he, the nephew of Cenk Uygur, right? To have said such an outrageous thing, but yet still maintains a platform, I think it tells you pretty much exactly who some of the controlling parties, let's say, of some of these social media companies are here, guys. That's an absolutely despicable thing to say, bro.
Absolutely not. And the reframing of 9/11 as something that is a consequence of U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East is an incredibly dangerous rhetorical tool that the Brotherhood has used. And we've seen that rhetorical tool extend even beyond to Mr. al-Sayed's statements about even the recent terrorist attack against a preschool in Michigan.
Mr. Scheidler?
I have to concur. It's a horrific statement.
Yeah, it's wild.
Final question.
Guys.
What does it say to you that today's Democrat Party is proudly supporting Mr. al-Sayed as a Michigan U.S. Senate candidate and will funnel money, support, and advocacy behind his candidacy, notwithstanding his willingness to embrace someone like Hassan Piker, who says America deserved 9/11? Mr. Scheidler?
Oh, I would say it shows the success of the Muslim Brotherhood Network over multiple decades, that they achieved what they said they were going to achieve, which was to normalize support for Hamas, normalize support for terrorism.
Ms. Claypock?
I would concur with that. The classification of this hearing and this endeavor as Islamophobic says a lot about the failure of one party in this country to confront the terrorist threat that faces our nation. I would say that the most Islamophobic or racist thing about this endeavor is the fact that the Democrats can't look at terrorists because they purport that it reflects all Muslims.
And that's generally the problem with like modern day contemporary Democrats here, guys, right? It's like, listen, we're going to go ahead and ignore the glaringly obvious things that are happening, because if we point out that there are some random, I don't know, bro, fraudsters in Minnesota here, then that obviously means that the entirety of the group is terrible, bro. Not the entirety of anything is either good or bad. Be aware of this here. If like you would get a lot more respect if you had the ability specifically here, right? To point out the bad that you see around instead of ignoring it blatantly because you don't want to offend people. All right. Listen, I don't care what group someone is coming from. If they're doing something bad, they're bad. That's the reality here, guys. Okay. If they're doing something good, great. You're great. You're a great human here. But I'm not sure that one thing that happens is immediately indicative of the entirety of one subsect. Okay, that's not the reality here, guys. And I think the Democrats specifically would be able to kind of pull in or reel in, let's say, more voters here back to their party if they were able to actually move past the absolute incomprehensible blind empathy that they basically exude here. Okay. One person or multiple people doing bad is by default not indicative of the entire group, guys. Okay. Like, be aware of that here. And if you were under the assumption that there are 10 people doing super terrible things, okay, but there are 20 people of that same thing, okay, 50% is still not really indicative of the entirety of the group here. I would say look immediately at every single person's individual reality, okay? My opinion here, but I mean, it's bothersome because it sounds racist, guys, right? It feels racist. It feels one of the ists. Just put a word in front of ist, and it's one of those things here, guys. Because like, what are you talking about? Because by you lumping everyone together, you're saying every single person in that group is a monolith. They're not here, right? Like some of the most warm countries, all right, and I mean like socially and everything here. Some of the most warm countries I have experienced have been full of Muslims, guys. All right. That is not my experience. And I'm someone who has over 140 passport stamps. I'm telling you, I don't really now listen, there are some places around the world here who are full of people who hate us. In fact, here, and you can feel every single bit of that vitriol to the point where you don't really want to speak. You need to have someone that is a local there that is basically speaking for you, and they're there working for you for a day's pay to kind of, you know, be a fixer for the most part in the region here. And so that's generally what I do when I go to some of these places here, right? And they're not for anything more than some variant of photography, guys. I've been a photographer for over 2 decades here internationally here, and not specifically in the realm of fashion. I was going to some of these places to photograph the ongoings, let's say that there, right? And small towns and cultures. That's what I did for a living for a very long time. So my travel is extensive here. So when it comes down to Muslims or people that follow Islam in some meaningful manner here, are they all bad? Guys, no. But point out the bad ones. I can give you guys, hold on. I'm going to go ahead and end the video here for those of you who want to leave. But if you guys want to stay for a moment here, I'll tell you the story of when I met the big bad guys right in Morocco here. Okay. I think I told the story a couple of times, but it's 2026. So we're going to tell it again here. All right. So guys, listen. So my wife and I basically were traveling through North Morocco and Tangiers, right? And we went to the coffee shop for Wi-Fi, basically, and coffee. Right. So we sat down, got coffee, and there was like some weirdo walking around with a sign on it with like an American flag, and it was crossed out. Things like this here, all types of crazy, and basically begging for money. Walked up to my wife and I, not realizing that I'm anything more than an African for the most part in his eyes here. But my wife is from Spain, north of obviously Morocco, right across the water. So again, they're used to seeing my wife and I in that country, if that makes any sense, kind of all over the place, right? Different variants of her or different variants of I. So long story short here, guys, the guy was begging for money to fund the cause was against the United States of America. Starts with an I, ends with an S, right? The 4-letter organization. And the locals saw what was going on. And when I say that this man was brutalized in the street here, he was brutalized in the street in like a super terrible manner here. Like he had the unmitigated gall here, let's just say this here, to make his country look bad. All right. And that's how they treated him. All right. So again, it's not all Muslims, guys. There's a small group inside of nearly every group on earth that has the ability to do something completely reprehensible towards their human brothers and sisters. Okay. And I remember that day vividly because that day right there, if I had any doubt that it was everyone that day, it was gone. All right. It was gone. Guys, it was wild. All right. They handled that guy. All right. And it was a bunch of old men who were just complaining. And then after all of this happened, they came and they basically, apologized, says this is not Morocco, all these other things. They said it in French. My wife speaks 7 languages, right? So, but anyway, so they said it in French, and that's just kind of what happened. Super apologies, bought us our coffee. Basically, it was like, this does not represent, what we are. So please don't allow this to kind of sway your experience in the country, right? Like super patriotic to their nation, guys. Like they did not play that, bro. All right. But yeah, that's the story, guys. Is it everyone? No. Listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly. If you guys are new here, please like and subscribe. And in the meantime, guys, I'll go ahead and catch you guys later.